Hey, it's Shay, and welcome back to another episode of Sips and Synopsis. So for episode 2 of Sips and Synopsis, we're going to be going over The HOUSEMAID by Freida McFadden. This is a thriller mystery type book that has been really popular recently. There is 3 books in this series, and this is obviously book 1. I have read book 2, so you're definitely going to be hearing about that soon, but without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to get into the characters first, just like we did in the previous video, so you kind of have a grasp of who is in the book and what's going on. So the main character's name is Millie Calloway, and she is 27 years old and has just been released from prison after being there for 10 years. So right now she is struggling to find a job while she's on parole. And the reason for her being in jail is currently unknown and is a mystery to us at the beginning of the book. The next character is Nina Winchester. She is the wife of a wealthy businessman and mother of Cecilia, a little girl. Then we have Andrew Winchester, who is a wealthy businessman and husband to Nina. Then we have Cecilia, who is a young child of the Winchester family. We have Enzo, who is the landscaper for the Winchesters and immigrated to the U.S. from Italy. And finally, we have Evelyn Winchester, who is the mother of Andrew Winchester. These are the main characters in my opinion, so if I left out somebody who you think was hella important to the story, I'm so sorry, but these are the main characters. Okay, so I have my synopsis notes here. Let's do it. In the prologue, an unnamed maid worries about being arrested after a body is found in the house where she works. The story behind this incident begins as Millie Calloway interviews for a job as a live-in housekeeper for Nina Winchester, a rich middle-aged woman. Despite her criminal record, she gets a job and moves into the mansion. She's given a tiny room in the attic that only locks from the outside and has a window that does not open. Unnerved, Millie requests a key, which Nina gives her, along with a new phone. As you can see, we're already getting into what the cover of the book is hinting at us. The landscaper Enzo warns Millie of danger, but he won't elaborate. She meets Nina's handsome husband, Andrew, and her 9-year-old daughter, Cecilia. Millie spends hours cleaning the filthy house before fixing dinner. Andrew compliments her cooking and invites her to join them, but she declines, as Nina seems irritated. During the night, when Millie wakes to use the bathroom, the doorknob sticks and she starts to panic. She gets the door open, but has a sense of foreboding. I don't know about you guys, but if I don't know. She has a criminal record. She hasn't had any luck. In the beginning of the book, it is stated that she applies for a job at like a Burger King or a McDonald's, and they deny her because of her criminal record. So for her to be lucky and get hired by this really rich family and even offered a place to stay, I can see why she is not seeing all of the red flags. But if you had a room that locked from the outside and you woke up in the middle of the night and you couldn't get it open for a moment, I would be frightened. Unpredictable and high-strung, Nina oscillates between being warm and friendly towards Millie, giving her old clothes that doesn't fit anymore and insisting Millie call her Nina instead of Mrs. Winchester. Nina also accuses Millie of things that she hasn't done, creating huge messes in the house and yelling at Millie to clean them up. Cecilia is a spoiled brat, and the only tolerable member of the family is Andrew, who is kind and appreciates everything Millie does. Millie hears gossip from the other mothers and nanny about Nina and discovers an antipsychotic medication, among others, in Nina's bathroom cabinet. In addition, she learns that Nina spent time in a psychiatric hospital after trying to kill Cecilia when she was a baby. Alright, so during the beginning stages of this, everything seems fine, and then Nina starts acting a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She starts acting hysterical, and for example, she makes a big ass mess in the kitchen, takes everything out of the fridge looking for something, and when Millie comes down to see what the issue is, she's like, oh, I can't find this, where did you put it? And Millie's like, I didn't touch it. I don't know what you're talking about. And then when Andrew comes home, she's like, Andrew, look at this mess that Millie just freaking made on the floor. Like, you better clean this up right now. Like, girl, you made this mess. What are you talking about? I would have been out. That would have been it for me. And like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not being in the middle of this lady's, you know, mental health issues right now. And then on top of all of this BS that she's receiving from Nina, which is her boss, her daughter, Cecilia, is a piece of work. Millie says that she works well with kids, but apparently Cecilia does not fit into that category of works well with kids. She says that she has allergies that she doesn't even have, and she never wants to be around Millie and is always trying to make it seem like Millie is doing something wrong. So she's basically doing the same thing that her mother is doing. Moving on from that, Nina and Andrew separately confide in Millie that they're trying to have a child. Andrew is especially excited to be a father because Cecilia isn't his biological daughter. This is the first time that we're hearing about this because we just assumed that she was his biological daughter. However, a fertility specialist determines that Nina can't have any more children, which devastates the couple. The next night, Millie overhears Nina raging at Andrew about how a younger woman would make him happier. To cheer Nina up, Andrew asks Millie to book tickets to a Broadway show. However, Nina gives her the wrong dates and cannot go. Andrew pacifies Nina, and once she leaves, offers Millie the tickets. She has no one to go with, so Andrew accompanies her. They have a great time and drink too much at dinner afterwards. Excuse me? Miss Nina was like, oh, Andrew, a show would be great. Let me tell Millie to book the tickets. Gives Millie the wrong dates, so now she cannot attend. And this is the same date where she has to take her daughter Cecilia to her summer camp, which is a couple hours away. So she's gonna go drive her daughter to the summer camp and stay there overnight and then come back the next day. So since Nina is not in the house, Andrew, who obviously has taken a liking to the housemaid, because of how Nina is treating her so poorly and feels bad for her, is like, hey, you can have the tickets, go have a fabulous night. Millie's like, I don't have anyone to go with. He's like, no worries, I'll take you. And then they have dinner afterwards and drink too much. Does that sound like a recipe for disaster to you? Because it does to me. Going back to my notes. They have a great time, drink too much at dinner afterwards. So they stay at a hotel in the city overnight that was actually meant for Andrew and his wife, but they give in to their mutual attraction and have sex. They have sex. Insert pony right there. They have sex. What? But they agree it cannot happen again. So why'd you do it? I'm not gonna lie, when this part of the book started coming up where Andrew's like, I'll take you to the show, I'm like, oh shit, I'm not going to bed tonight. I'm gonna read what the fuck happens next, because what do you mean you're going to the show with your housemaid when your wife is gone and not telling her? So, however, Millie soon realizes that Nina knows about her and Andrew. Nina makes Millie's life hell and even accuses Millie of stealing the clothes that she gave her. So off the bat, I would like to say that I think she was already making Millie's life hell, but before she went on this, before this whole night of affair and craziness, she gifted Millie some old clothes of hers that she doesn't fit anymore, and Millie ended up actually wearing one of her dresses to the Broadway show. But when she comes back, she's like, I never gave you those clothes. Why the fuck are you stealing my clothes? So Andrew hears all this commotion going on, and he defends Millie, confessing that he has feelings for her, and orders Nina to get the fuck out of his house and leave. If I was Millie, I'd be in the corner like, If I was in that situation, I would not home wreck. Like, I would not have even slept with him in the first place. But if I was in a situation, I would have been like, Nina, yeah, get out. Like, he doesn't want you anymore. You're a bitch, and I clean and I cook and I do everything. You can go. This is my ticket. I just got out of jail. This is my ticket. A rich man wants me. Cut the cameras. Okay. After Nina leaves, Andrew and Millie sleep together again, but in Andrew and Nina's bed. That's messy as hell, bro. Messy as hell. So he claims that he wants to give them a real shot together, which obviously makes Millie very happy because she's been in jail for 10 years, she hasn't got much action, she thinks that this very handsome rich man is into her, and she's like, you know what, your wife has been a piece of shit this whole time I've been here. I think that, you know, she deserves it, I guess, which don't get in between married grown folks' business, but you know, that's what she did. In the morning, Andrew fires Enzo, whom he says hangs around the house too much. While grocery shopping, Millie runs into a friend of Nina's who reveals that Nina installed the tracking app on Millie's phone. Stunned, she returns home and spends the day reading. She receives a phone call from a blocked number warning her to stay away from Andrew and assumes that the caller is Nina. As Millie packs her things to move into the main house, Andrew comes home. Millie doesn't disclose the day's details concerning Nina, and she and Andrew sleep together in her room. She wakes up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and finds herself locked in. Her phone is missing, and 3 heavy books have mysteriously appeared. Okay. So, they sleep together for a 3rd time in this book. Alright, we get it. You guys like to sleep together. But this time it's in Nina's room, which obviously locked from the outside, and that's how she got locked in her room. He takes her phone, she doesn't have it, and there's 3 books in the room, which is hilarious to me because of the next actions. But anyway, so this is where we kind of see that maybe Andrew isn't the guy, he isn't the one, he isn't him, he is them. He, you know, he's a bad dude. Maybe he's not a good guy. And this is at the part of the book where we finally get some answers, and the book flashes back in time to Nina's perspective and basically the true events of what happened with their relationship and what's been going on. So a flashback from Nina's perspective reveals the true events of the past years. Nina is forced to drop out of college and begins working after she gets pregnant after a drunken one-night stand. Cecilia. Andrew is the CEO of a company where she works, a charming, handsome man, and he asks her out, eventually asks her out after she basically is kind of humiliated at her job, and he finds her crying, and he's like, oh, he feels kind of bad for her, and he's like, girl, you're kind of cute, like, dinner? After a whirlwind of courtship, they marry. But she soon learns that he has hidden sadistic tendencies. What? He often locks her in the attic and tortures her as punishment for minor transgressions. I can't say that word. Hold on. He often locks her up in the attic, tortures her as punishment for minor fuck me. Alright, I got it now. He often locks her up in the attic and tortures her for minor transgressions. He drugs her. Now, moving on to the next sentence. He drugs her, and yeah, like, what did you expect? He drugs her and her baby, places Cecilia in the bathtub, and makes it look like Nina did it, which lands her in a psychiatric hospital with diagnosis of depression and delusions, ensuring that no one will believe her account of things. So that's why she was locked up for trying to kill her baby, because he set her ass up. I just love when we as the reader know things that's like what is it called? Omniscient point of view, or we just know things, you know. We're like the big God, just looking down at everything in the story. After trying to escape all those years ago, Nina confides in Enzo, who tells her that his sister was in a similar situation and she died because of her husband's abuse. Enzo promises to help Nina escape, and she decides to hire someone to replace her. She finds Millie, and through a private investigator, learns that Millie was in prison for murder. In high school, she killed a boy who tried to force himself on her friend and rape her. So I think that's pretty good justification as to why she murdered someone, but that still sucks that she was in jail for that long. But men who are tried for rape don't get nothing. I understand she took somebody's life, but at the same time, raping someone should, you know, we're not gonna get into politics right now, but people is bad. Don't do it. Don't do it. You are a piece of shit if you do that. Don't. It's not hard. There are many people who want to fuck on this earth. We learned that Nina hired Millie to kill Andrew, but doesn't tell Enzo this, even though Enzo was like trying to help her out. So Millie is young and pretty, and she is pretty sure that Andrew will be attracted to her. And she knows that she's desperate for a job because she knows of her history. And obviously it works because Andrew has fallen for Millie and slept with her and kicked Nina out and wants to torture Millie now, I guess. Because she is desperate for a job, Millie does stay on despite Nina's mistreatment of her. Nina deliberately drives Millie to hate her, framing her as victim to earn Andrew's sympathy, and sets up opportunities for Andrew and Millie to be alone together. It was a setup the whole time, babes. It was a setup the whole time. Don't underestimate women. So this all culminates in Andrew and Millie sleeping together, obviously. And Andrew throwing Nina out of the house. And when Nina is thrown out of the house, like I said, her daughter's still at her summer camp thing. Nina goes to a hotel and Enzo meets up with her and they sleep together. Okay, so now we flash back to the present. Well, we already did because after, okay, yes. We're in the present. I'm sorry, I'm here with you. Are you with me? Let's do it. Okay, so present day, Millie is in the attic. Andrew eventually comes back and instructs her to balance heavy books on her stomach for 3 hours as punishment for not putting her books back after she read. So remember when Nina has that run, you remember when Millie has that run-in at the grocery store with one of Nina's friends, and she comes home and she's like, I'm just gonna read for the rest of the day, like I feel like shit. She doesn't put the books back exactly where they belong. So I guess Andrew didn't like that because he's crazy and sadistic and wants to torture her. He tells her to balance the heavy books on her stomach that magically appeared in the room when she woke up, remember that? For 3 hours as punishment for not putting back the books that she read. He makes her repeat this exercise after she falls short by a minute the first time. When he opens the door, however, Millie pepper sprays him with a bottle that Nina left for her in the room. She steals Andrew's phone and turns the tables on him, torturing him turns the tables on him, locking him in and torturing him similarly. Why am I on YouTube talking about books when I can't read? Okay, meanwhile, while Enzo has been watching the house, he worries that Millie hasn't left and he calls Nina, insisting that they go back to help her. When Nina returns, she finds the house empty, assuming that Millie is locked upstairs. She unlocks the door to help and finds Andrew's decomposing remains. All right, we didn't know Millie was gonna take it that far. I mean, damn, you just got out of jail. You could have locked him in there and called the police. I don't know why she had to make it complicated. It's because it's a book. They had to do something with it, you know? They had to do something with it. So Millie appears, confessing to locking Andrew in the room for almost 6 days. She begins to cry, worried that she'll go back to prison for life. And not wanting Millie to bear the consequences of something that she tricked her into doing, Nina asks her to leave. Nina's like, I'll handle it. I feel like shit. I don't think she explicitly tells, I don't remember that she explicitly tells Millie that she profiled her and picked her for this reason to kill Andrew, but she does feel bad, and she's like, no, just go, like, I'll handle everything, like, don't worry. You never worked here. During the detective's interrogation, Nina learns that one of the detective's daughter was actually engaged to Andrew at one point. Although the daughter never disclosed what happened, she changed her name and moved away. The detective reveals that the police never investigated Nina's claims of being locked in the attic because of the pull that the Winchesters had over the police department. So he rules Andrew's death an accident and closes the case. At Andrew's wake, Evelyn Winchester, Andrew's mother, I told you she was gonna come up. She's coming in right here at the end with a bang. Andrew's mother reveals to Nina that she disciplined Andrew as a child in a similar manner to how Andrew tortured Nina. She praises Nina for stepping up and disciplining Andrew in this way, and then she leaves. As she goes to the wake, she sees him. She's like, oh, that's how he died? Back in my day, I used to do that shit to Andrew all the time because he was a very naughty boy. Thank you for trying to teach him to not be a naughty boy. And this is the first time that Nina actually gets respect from her mother-in-law, because her mother-in-law doesn't really like her. But at this point, she's like, oh, you got some balls. Okay. My son is dead, but it looked like he deserved it. Like, good job. After this whole fiasco, Nina and Cecilia moves to California while Millie lives off money that Nina sends her after Andrew's death. Almost a year later, Millie interviews for a job at another household with a woman who Nina recommended her. Millie realizes that the woman is being abused by her husband and assures her that she can help her. I guess Millie now has a reputation for helping women who are being abused by their husbands or trying to get out of a tough situation. And at the end of the book, it kind of hints that, hey, this is what she's gonna be doing. Which is kind of cool, you know? I mean, hey, she found her niche. Moving on to what I liked about the story. I liked how fast-paced the book felt, and I liked the red herring of the wife being crazy and the bad one in the story, even though it was kind of like an obvious red herring. I also liked at how the end that when the mother of Andrew finds out, she's kind of like cool about it, and we kind of find out that the reason that Andrew has been acting like this is probably because of the abuse that he suffered from his mother. So it's kind of just like a toxic cycle, which doesn't make it right, but it does give us some insight onto Andrew's character. What I did not like Enzo and Nina getting together. That's it. I hated that. Why? If a man helps out a woman, like, they gotta sleep together, apparently. Like, it just felt unnecessary that they slept together, especially having the information that I know from the second book in the series that I'm not going to touch on, no spoilers for the next book. But it's just weird. Why? So overall, I rated this book a 3.5 stars. I thought it was a simple thriller that kept me engaged the entire time, and I did feel for the main character at some point, but it really wasn't anything remarkable. Like, in my opinion, it was kind of just like a mindless read that kept me engaged the entire time, which is totally cool. Like, every book doesn't have to be like mind-blowing and knowledgeable and this and that. I did really enjoy the book, but I just didn't think it was anything unique, I guess. So the rating on Goodreads was a 4.3, and I wanted to read out some reviews about it. We're gonna read a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star review about the book to kind of just to get what people were feeling about it. Our first 1-star review. The writing style was very beginner level and the story is very predictable. The plot twist is not thrilling at all. The whole time I read it, I felt like I already knew what was going to happen next. I can kind of see where this 1-star review is coming from. The book was very simple. The writing was very simple, which I think makes for a very easy read. I think this book is a very good book for somebody who's getting back into reading and doesn't want something that's probably very overwhelming. 2-star review. A very easy read, but a very juvenile style of writing. Definitely more suited to a teenage audience. A lot of the plot is so far-fetched, full of holes, and unnecessary. Why did Nina wait 9 years to come up with her plan? Why was the daughter so horrible to Millie when she was supposedly a nice kid? Of course, everything just fell into place so perfectly. Totally unbelievable. Some motives of the characters did seem a little bit unbelievable, but, you know, when you're reading the book, I feel like you kind of have to take away some of common sense when you're reading, because it's kind of like you're in the universe of the book. I understand that the book's universe is technically supposed to be like regular life, but obviously it's not. It's just a story. I mean, I don't know, some people take stuff really seriously, which I understand, but I just feel like this wasn't a serious book for it to be taken seriously like that. Sorry, 3-star read. I feel like I'm missing something here. This book was predictable at best. Nothing happens for a solid 150 pages. We're just laying groundwork from something that you can see coming a mile away if you comprehend context clues. The maid, is she 16? She's so immature and the writing for her is painful. She says the same thing about needing this job every 2 pages. We get it, you need the job. It felt like the first half of the book was written from a perspective of a teenage girl, not a grown woman who spends years in prison. The story itself was decent, but I still don't understand everyone saying that this is an unexpected twisting page turner. I do agree with that 4-star review. I don't think this is like a remarkable page turner. Oh my god, I didn't see this twist coming. It was very cut and dry, and I think I just like that about this book. And some people don't, but I just did. Moving on to the 4-star review. Good read, a bit predictable, but it kept my interest. Would recommend. That's kind of how I feel about it. That's why I rated it 3.5 stars. You know, it was a decent read. It kept me interested. I was satisfied with the end. I'm a simple gal. 5 stars. I have been wanting to get back into reading, and I've tried many books and failed. This book I read in 2 days and couldn't put down. It keeps you on your toes, and you are able to become immersed in it. I will recommend reading this book to everyone. There are so many questions to be answered, which you will never guess how they will be answered at the end. Yeah, and that's the 5-star reads for the book. Those are the reviews. Yeah. Oh, I haven't ate anything today, and I've just been drinking this wine, and I'm already feeling like, I'm feeling it now. I'm like, damn, like, oh, either I need to eat something or I need to go lay down. But anyway, thank you for coming along and diving into The Housemaid with me. I did really enjoy this book, and I know a lot of people do. And I know when a book gets a lot of attention, that when people read it, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know why this book is so popular. Like, it was just so basic. But sometimes you just need to read something a little bit more basic, just to keep your attention and just have a fun little read, like a mindless read. And I think it did its job, and I really like this book. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, and I'll see you in the next video.